with the new Scream movie coming out soon, we'll be talking about every Scream movie up until its release date. So I want to talk about Casey Becker. As I watched Scream, well, for the first part of this video I will. I watched Scream yesterday, and she's making popcorn and all that jive, isn't she? But she was just, her kill really frustrated me. And I do think in the Scream franchise, most of the kills, but not all of them, are written to be have some intelligence to them, where, you know, for example, in this film, Sidney does run upstairs, and I know a lot of people say, oh, Sidney ran upstairs. They all run upstairs because they're stupid. But before that incident, she was actually outside, and she checked everything out, and Ghostface didn't come after her, so she went back in the house, and she locked the door. But the scare for that was that Ghostface was already in the house, but she couldn't get out fast enough because she'd locked the door. That's why she ran upstairs. She couldn't open the door fast enough, or she would have got stabbed. Anyway, for Casey Becker, we all know that she had to answer some questions regarding horror movies, because that's what this movie is about. It's about how horror influences killers, which it's a debate. You can debate that, but there's other things as well as for the reason why Billy used to do what they're doing in this film anyway. But for her, she gets this question wrong, you know, the Friday the 13th one, who is the killer in Friday the 13th? And she says what a lot of casual horror fans, I believe, would say, and that's Jason Voorhees, but we all know it isn't. It's Pamela Voorhees. So she gets that wrong. She gets stabbed, she gets killed, she gets hung, gutted. But I felt like she could have survived this one, because there's a scene in this that really annoys me, and she's always holding onto a damn phone. Always, and it really irritates me. This is the part where she's outside, you know, and she tries to run, but he runs, catches up to her and stabs her. I'm just thinking, throw the phone at your parents, damn it. Don't just stand there and go, throw the phone. Throw the damn phone. But we all know that's why she gets gutted and hung, and why she dies. Stupidity. But I don't feel like that's the reason why a lot of people do die in the Scream franchise. I feel like a lot of kills in this really well done. Very smart. Like Tatum, for instance, we already foreshadow how Tatum's going to die, because we see the cat run through the, you know, the door in the garage door, and that's obviously how she dies. But she tries to just get out as well, like anybody else would. She goes to walk out of the garage, but Ghostface shuts the door on her as she's walking out, and she kicks the shit out of Ghostface. Like, who doesn't kick the hell out of Ghostface? But they always lose, even because Ghostface is one hell of a lucky SOB. With Tatum, she tried to get out of that, which in any other situation I feel like she would have, if you didn't lift the door up. She just couldn't get out of there quick enough, unfortunately. I feel like because them boobies were too big. I'm only kidding. But she did get killed. But I would have liked to have seen Tatum be a character that would have been in Scream 2, because I felt like she had a lot more to offer, and I would have liked to have seen that friendship expand into Scream 2 and see how if they would have been closer or not. So I would have liked to have seen Tatum go one-on-one a lot more with Ghostface. I feel like she was a very good feisty character. And she didn't go down easy, she just put up one hell of a fight, which I adored from that character. One of the other reasons why I adore the original Scream movie so much is because of red herrings, like, hey, you get Fonz Henry Winkler. And I really like in that film how it does insinuate that he could be the killer. But, you know, we know he's, no offence, but he's too old to be that athletic, I feel. That's just my opinion, because there's those idiots running through the hallway after the big kill, so he gets them in the office and he's waving his scissors around. This is where you think maybe, because he's like points the scissors at them and says like, how would you feel if I hung, drawn, and quartered you? And you can tell he's pissed, and he said you kind of get the feeling that he would actually do it given the opportunity, which points at red herrings at him. But then we get the scene where he's death, where he hears a noise, looks out of the door, he sees, which is really cool, Wes Craven dressed as Freddy Krueger, and he's like, what? Because he like says some, I don't know what exactly he says, he's like, what are you doing, you son of a bitch? And Wes turns around, looks at him, and he goes, and he's like, not you, Fred. And he's dressed as Freddy Krueger, which I thought was a fantastic nod to another horror icon that Wes Craven created. But after that, Ghostface is hidden behind the door, stabby, he's dead. He ain't Ghostface. What I did like about this is that they already told us who the killers were straight away at the beginning of the film, where they sat around the fountain with the kind of banter that goes off. You kind of know that Billy or Stu's done it. For me, I just feel like Billy's done it, because if you go back, and you listen to the audio, it does sound like his voice when he's getting hit and getting thrown around, because he makes those little grunts like when he's getting hit, and it just sounds a lot more like Billy to me than it does Stu. And I believe that a lot of people do think that Stu did do it, and if you do, let me know why in the comments. I'd like to know how you think you would have done it, because personally for me it was Billy. And from the start, you see when Sidney's getting chased, where it talks about her running up the stairs earlier, Billy does come into the house straight after and drops the phone, and you just put two and two together, it is Billy, and he also gets arrested for it. And you know, usually with films like that, they do that on purpose, so you think, well, it can't be these now, because they've insinuated it earlier on, but then they were straight up telling us that it was Billy. And one of my favourite scenes in this movie is when Randy he's at work in a video rental store, and he's in between both of them, and he's telling Stu that it's Billy. He thinks it's Billy, and it's awesome. I don't know if he thinks it's Stu or not by this time, but he's 100% sure that it's Billy, and he's right. He even says it when Billy walks off after the confrontation, turns around to Stu and says something like, "Is that not a murderer to you?" Because of how he was with him, very threatening and quite bullying him, because he called him out because he was chatting with other women. He was supposed to be with Sidney, naughty boy, don't do that. In the horror section, and you just put two and two together, even and the fact that he was arrested earlier on in the film, and he was damn right, and it's a shame that what happened to him happened in Scream 2, because I felt like he would have been great to see in future movies, even though I felt like it was a very good kill that shocked you, which told us that nobody in Scream 2 was safe. My favourite final girl in horror is Sidney Prescott. I absolutely adore the character. She's phenomenally played by Neve Campbell, because I feel like straight away off the get-go, she's not one of those that's just runs around because she's scared all the time, which is how I see Laurie in the original Halloween movie. Loomis just saves her ass a lot in that, as far as I'm concerned. But she actually fights him off a lot, lures him into certain areas where she chases after him, then she'll slam a door in his face and fight back. I really, really like that. And she actually fought him off when he first tried to kill her, and she fights him off in the bathroom scene where Ghostface has taken a shit, and he stands up and puts his costume on and comes out and attacks her. And they really freaking struggle to kill Sidney. And it's great because I feel like she has a really good character arc through all of the movies, where she just gets stronger and stronger as a woman and as a character in each film. And I feel like even though she gets more trauma as each film progresses as well, I feel like she gets even stronger with the more trauma that's thrown at her. I feel like it's a really good character trait for a final girl in horror. And with lead final girls, you've got to have your side characters, and they knocked it out of the park with these side characters. With Dewey, he's a character he really stands out. He's a cop, but nobody appreciates him, and you can tell that he really wants to be appreciated, but he's really goofy, so it's hard to appreciate him as a serious guy while all of this is going on. People talk shit to him and are really disrespectful, and I just felt bad for him, and you felt like he was one of those characters that you were supposed to feel sorry for, that they're going to kill off in this film. So you know, you just kind of feel bad because you've got a connection to him, so it makes you feel like anyone can die in this film, and he doesn't, which is really good and rare, I feel, in a major horror franchise, because you usually get a character like that where you know, like, oh, at the midway point they're just going to get fucking brutally killed off. Kind of makes you think that happens to him, but it doesn't. Even under all that goofiness, he's actually tough as nails and can survive a lot. Gale Weathers, that's a feisty woman. That is a feisty woman. And I feel like she's an amazing character in this. I feel like she's got Sidney as a rival in this film, where they're both just as tough as each other, I feel, and they go head to head at some point, and Sidney punches her because she's got a book. But Gale is ruthless. She will do anything to get a story, and that's exactly what she does. She exploits the party. She exploits Ghostface when he's trying to kill people. She tries to get it on camera instead of helping people and saving them. She just puts a camera in the house and tries to film him. She is somewhat of a scumbag POS, but she does progress. She gets more sympathetic as the movies goes on, but she also has that meanness to her when it comes to her work. But we'll see what happens in Scream 6. But in Scream 5, she's toned that down quite a lot, and she's got a really good friendship with Gale, and I think that's really good for character development within a horror franchise like Scream. It's one thing I don't like about major horror franchises, and they eventually always kill the main survivors off, and I really don't like that because it's really bad for stories of trauma. It's a bad message because it just basically tells you that you're not going to overcome it, and that's one of the reasons why I hated that they killed Dewey in Scream 5. He felt like he had really good character development in that. He'd got a lot to come back from because he'd lost everything. And he's gone back to what he was like in this Scream, where he tells Gale in the original Scream, he just sits at home and watches her on TV. And that's what he does in this one. He's sat at home watching her on TV. And he's gone back to his younger days because he's lost everything. He's got to earn it back again. Even though he's retired, but not retired because he hates what he does. I feel like he's just a broken man in this, and I really wanted to see him overcome it again, but unfortunately he doesn't, and I did not like that whatsoever. Billy and Stu, I feel like the appeal for Billy and Stu is that they're complete opposites. Stu is crazy. He's a fucking nutcase in my opinion. He's not that self-aware of things that he does. He's very easily manipulated, which Billy just manipulates him and treats him like garbage. When you go back and watch the film, some of the stuff he says to him, and I just feel like because they're complete opposites, I feel like it works because they got a lot of good banter between each other, especially when they've got Cindy at the end, and they're gonna kill her, and he's like, stab me, and he stabs him, and then he didn't like it, and so Stu stabs Billy without him getting ready for it, and then they're giving each other shit, and then Billy fucking keeps knifing Stu, and that's I liked that scene, but it's an issue with me where people think Stu is going to come back. Would be cool, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's a universe where the supernatural happens. People say that he gets a telly dropped on his head so he survives. Yes, he does, but nobody ever says that before that. He gets stabbed. He gets fatal stab wounds 4 times before that. He's bleeding to death. He's getting woozy here. He's actually bleeding to death. He's already on his way out before he gets hit with the TV. And also, people fail to say that he gets electrocuted when the TV hits him in the face. Unfortunately, I think he's dead. Would I like to see him come back? No, but I would be really happy for fans that would like to see him come back. So I feel like what people are saying with the cult stuff and him doing the cult would be great, but I feel like it's not even for that character would do that, because I don't think he's very bright. He's not a smart man at all, and that's how I feel about that, unfortunately. I think the success of Scream had a lot to do with just the right place at the right time. For me, it was way ahead of its time. And at this time, us horror fans needed a good horror franchise. Your Freddys and your Jasons were getting late on in their series, and we needed something refreshing and new. And as a creator, these creators that make horrors, it was incredibly hard to do, to make a horror icon that sticks out and lasts the test of time. But I think a lot of it was, due to the perfect casting and script of Scream, and also the look of Ghostface. It looked phenomenal, and it's really cool to see that it wasn't just a movie where they used that mask and said these are the killers and then use something different in each film. I loved that they kept with that mask to make it as an iconic symbol to the franchise, which I thought that was great. Now I want to talk about supernatural stuff again. I had a conversation with my friend last week, and people are saying Ghostface doesn't. It's called. This is the first time Ghostface has used a gun in the new film. It's not true because because you see him in the trailer with a shotgun. It's not true because every person that has played that killer has used a gun in Scream. I'll even put an image up right now. There you go. But yes, they're not wearing the Ghostface costume. But it's Ghostface. That is the killer. It's just a uniform they have chosen to do their work in. But my friend said she thinks it's more supernatural, where the mask, the costume, takes control and they go killing. I think that's a great way to look at it. But for me, it's not that. They're just humans in costumes, because if that was true, in the finale, they would tell you that's why they do it. But no, it's just going to be a reveal. It's a human in a costume. You die. And that's that. As for kills in Scream, they're not that gory, or I'd say even scary. It's just all down to the acting and how they're made. Don't get me wrong, there's blood. You just see it soaked in a few coats and jackets and whatnot, and you do see a few guts now and then. But compared to a lot of films today, we are really desensitized to a lot of gore. but it's great to see a movie and a series like that that's been going on for so long, that stayed so solid. I even feel like the worst films in the franchise, which a lot of people agree that it's Scream 3, I even feel like that's a decent film. I don't feel like it's a bad film, it's just the worst film in a bunch of movies. So it's great to see movies like that that some might feel outdated to some people, but I feel it's a great thing seeing a franchise be this solid for this long, and let's hope it keeps happening with Scream 6. I loved Scream. I thought it is one of the best films of its genre, as its generation, should I say, and it deserves it because it had a perfect formula of getting non-horror fans into it as well. Because basically Dawson's Creek in a horror film, and people like drama and whodunits. Who doesn't like a good whodunit, right? And that's mountain that Scream stands on. It's whodunit, and that's why I'm also not a fan of Stu being the killer in the new one, because people are already telling us, fans are telling us, and it's going to ruin it when you see it because you've seen it coming as well. So I really hope that they don't do that. I hope that they just, like Kevin Williams said that he's dead, but he didn't write it. He didn't write this film. But in the new Scream poster with the train tracks, it's got a chart of the survivors and the dead. And most people are marked off in white dots, but Stu's marked red. But I hope that he's just fucking with fans. But we'll soon find out. We will soon find out, because I think in Scream 5, if it's going to be Stu, it's going to be in that film, and I believe in Scream 6, it's going to be Stu, and I believe in the one after it's going to introduce that it's a cult. Sorry, at the end of Scream 6, and the next one they'll just be killing off the cult members. I hope they don't do that, because I think it's a terrible idea. But Scream's been so solid for this long, I don't even think they will do that anyway, because they want it to do well, obviously. 'Cause these seem like they really love horror, and they're going to keep delivering us with great horror, and that's what we want, and that's what they know that we want. So yeah, they'll keep doing it. I'm very confident it's going to be a great movie, Scream 6. How do you feel about Scream? Did you enjoy Scream, or do you think it's a load of garbage like my friend Cub, who hates it? Let me know in the comments section. Anyway, if you enjoyed it, subscribe, check out our cartoons, and we'll see you next time. Join our fucking cult, Sithy.